Hi, Pete Moore. I work at Mart TV. What I've got here is very much a blast from the past and quite unusual. A company called Australian International Arms. They no longer exist, and they were imported at the time by a guy called Guy Savage from Sabre Defence. Essentially what they are a new-made No4 Mark II action, generically speaking. And it's chambered in 7.62 by 51 with a 10-shot detachable box mag. So finding something like this is quite interesting. So what they did, unusually, AI made 5 models. And there's the M10A and M10A2 are conformed as a jungle carbine. I think it's an 18-inch or 20-inch barrel with a rather fanciful muzzle brake. All the furniture is teak on all the guns, and the M10A1 and A2 were chambered in 7.62 by 39. They used a 20-round AK mag, very unusual. But 7.62 by 39 is a cartridge that has not a lot of actual potential. The other two they make are the M10B1 and M10B2. They are conform more like the Enfield Enforcer, which is the 7.62 sniping rifle. But what they've done with the B1 and B2, they've chopped the forward furniture so the barrel is free floating past the band. And they all come with No4 type iron sights. But the gun is, say, configured for 7.62, so the bolt face is different, feed is different, and they are quite sought after, as I found out. This is a colleague of mine's gun, he very kindly lent it to me. The thing with this model is, which is sort of the military style No4, AIA's website, I managed to get some pictures off it, even though it's defunct, don't show this full length No4 style gun. It's either the jungle type carbine, which is the 10A, or the more targety sniper gun, which is the 10B. But I was looking through Henry Crank's website last week, just generally looking for guns to have a play with, and I saw one of these up for sale as a second-hand gun, badged up at £1,000, which I was a bit surprised, and a bit more research showed that my friend said to me that he was not thinking of selling it, but somebody he knew wanted to buy it off him, and he offered him £850 for it. But it just goes to show that people still want these guns. But it's a funny thing, I used to shoot these when I was an Army cadet, so I'm very familiar with the No4 Mark II, but I'd forgotten so many things about it. The sight is very familiar. It's in a big heavy wing protector, about 1.5 inches back from the muzzle, as was the No4 Mark II. There's no bayonet fixture on this rifle at all. Also, this block is clamped on, and rather than the old adjustment where you had to knock the foresight left and right and put different ones in, the foresight is now a post, and you put a little tool on that and you can wind it up and down to get elevation and depression for zeroing. Equally so, windage is controlled by a pair of opposed jam screws, much easier than knocking things around with a hammer and a brass punch. Primitive at the back is the rear sight, which is an L flip type. You may be familiar with it more from the old AR-15, M16 originals. Basically, you've got 2 leaves there, as you can see, shaped like an L. The shorter one, just up at the moment, it's got S on it for short range. And the long one, which is laying flat, you can just see the L on it. It's for longer range. I think short was between 200 and 300, and long was past that. But to be brutally honest, it's more of a short range setup. As you can see, this one has a Picatinny rail. This has been made by AI for the guns. And usually the woodwork is teak, which is a beautiful piece of timber, as you can see. And it follows the No4 Mark II exactly, with top handguard sections, the lower section that comes all the way down to the action, and then the separate butt that bolts to the rear. It's your typical scant butt with a very low comb, which is fine for the iron sights, but very, very low for scope use, even with reasonably low mounts. What my colleague has done is bought one of these little foam comb riser kits. Basically that goes on and you put like a neoprene sleeve on, hold it in place, and it gives you a nice bit of cheek support. But the timber on this gun is just absolutely beautiful. I imagine if you said to somebody, make me some No4 timber out of a piece of teak, you get quite a serious bill. This is the safety catch here. The lever pulls back, locks the bolt out, and you can't fire the gun. To fire, just push it forward. Again, the Enfield is a cock on closing action. Pretty much every modern sporting rifle cocks on opening, which is easier. Cock on closing means as you're chambering the round, which requires a bit more effort, you're also having to set the striker. The magazine is detachable by this big lever here. So you press this tab at the back and the mag falls away. It looks a bit like an M14 mag. I think that's probably what they've chopped them down from. I found they're a bit awkward to fill, and occasionally I was getting sort of, after a few rounds, the ammo pack would tip and you'd get a non-feed. One of the strange things about this, when you fired your last round, the follower rises and locks the bolt. So you've got to jump the mag before you can shut the bolt and carry on. The bolt is mechanically different because obviously it deals with a rimless round. Also, it follows the Canadian long branch arsenal way of removal. The British guns had a little catch here. You could pull the bolt all the way back, flip the catch down, and then flip the bolt head up, which was a bit fiddly. What the Canadians did, quite simply, is just to save time and manufacture. They cut a slot in this guide rail here. So what happens is you get the bolt out, align the bolt head with that, flip it up, and the whole thing just pulls out like so. And if you look, you can see, again, because it's a rimless cartridge, they've completely reconfigured the bolt face. It's now enclosed, and there's a sort of a normal extractor, but if you look to the right, there's a sprung plunger, so there's no problem in extraction. Number 4s used to use a slightly different way of getting things out, generally speaking, and you had to be quite aggressive. This way, it comes out very nicely. Locking is by two methods. This massive long lug here obviously locks into this section here, and there's another lug underneath, as you can see there. So you've got the big lug, and you've got small lug. Mag goes in, give it a slap. It's a little bit firm, the magazine. So let's just try 10 rounds. Okay, what we've got here is rounds 9 and 10 tipped, as I said they did in the box mag. So we'll leave it there, but that's a matter of just finessing the magazine. Just take this out to be safe. I'll pocket. Not having used the number 4 for many, many years, I've forgotten they're quite a heavy rifle, but the cock on closing, I always remember being a bit of a pain I got used to, and I think if you have a shot of a number 4 or an Enfield before, you need to sort of get your head around that, and the action needs a little bit of slick to it. But recoil's good. Actually, Rise, I tried 2 loads. That was a 150 grain hunting load, just had some, and it was shooting about off the bench, I was about 3 inches at 100 metres. Then I dropped in some Barnes 178 grain match, which is really a top end target load, and that shrunk the groups down to about 1 inch. Trigger pull is probably about 3 to 4 pounds, but you've got that take up, so you've got to teach yourself when you hit the trigger, you pull it back and you come to a positive stop. That's when the gun goes off. Overall, I can see it's been attractive to people. So they're not maiden ball, but obviously there's a few around, and if cranks are charging £1,000 for it and my friend was off at 850, then that's the sort of money you'd be paying. Okay, that was a bit of fun. Brought back some memories. So if you like what you see, tell your friends, comment, good or bad, I don't care. And as usual, support the website. And if you need to speak to me, it's the usual pmore.shootingsports@gmail.com. And I'll see you again with some more new and some more old interesting gear.